All right. Thanks for joining me back here again. We're going to, we've got our customer center set up. We've got our jobs layout set up. We're liking how things are going, but we need to make this a little bit easier to get back and forth and to find things as we're going through. So, how do we do that? Well, one of the things that I think is obvious is we've got these jobs under Jim, and Jim says, "Hey, I've got a question about 1005 here. Can you tell me a little bit more about it, or can you change something, change the description of it, update the artwork?" Well, going in here, I can't get there, right? So I'd actually have to go back to jobs and just imagine there's 100 of them here. I've got to scroll through and find 1005. We don't want to do that. We want a button that takes us right to that job. So let's get in here and start cleaning this up. So get myself out of the way here. Probably can't see him anymore. That's probably just fine. So I want to make a button over here. But one thing that I was noticing, just a little sidetracking here, is if I go and look at this artwork, it's tiny. It's not really taking up the full width of that field. So how do I adjust that? Well, I'm going to select these two. I'm going to shift select both of them. And then under the display, the little color palette here, the appearance, we've got padding down here. And so I'm going to set this padding to 0. And that is going to take the full size of that. So that gives me a little more room there. And maybe even since we're very visual, I'm going to set the number of rows here to 7. And then I'm going to use that to give myself some more room here. And then I can make these artwork little containers larger. Save that. And again, we're just, we're making a change. We're going to look at it. We're making a change. We're going to look at it. We're backing up regularly. I'll close the file, save a copy. So let's see how that looks here. In fact, let's do that real quick. So let's go to exit, and then, or I could save a copy as actually, but we're in the job. So Control C, Control V. I got a copy here, and let's date this. 2021. Happy New Year's. And then let's open this back up again. Okay, so back here, we've got our backup. We're still on the jobs layout. We like how everything's looking. Let's get back in here and make a button. So job number, due date, status. Let's make this a little smaller, and let's take a little bit of this room out of it, and then just moving stuff around just like you would, and using the arrow keys here, just like you would in Illustrator. And I'm going to make a button. You see what I did there? Let me do that again. So I'm going to go get the button tool up here. And then actually, I want to put it down here. So it's part of this portal. Just part of this record in the portal there. And let's figure out an icon that we want to use. So FileMaker's got a bunch of icons here. Maybe this one or this pencil here, just to get into the job with a little more information. You can see the pencil's kind of cut off. We're going to go fix that padding here in just a second. And then what we want this to do is we want a single step here for the action. Okay, and this is basically a one-line script that you're going to write. So this is your first intro into programming if you've never done this before. And we're going to use a very powerful step in FileMaker, which I use all the time, called go to related record. And so what we want to do is we want to go to the related record, the related jobs record from this row in the portal. And we want to open that up on the jobs layout. Easy enough. So I'm going to type go to related, and there it is, related record. I'm going to click this little gear here, and we're going to set the settings up. So get related record from not the customers table, but the jobs table. We want to see the jobs table. And then I'm going to change the layout, show record using layout jobs. Since I only have one jobs layout, pretty easy to understand. And then let's show it in a new window. Let's call the window jobs. We're just going to leave this as a document window for now. And then I'll leave the height and width just automatically defined. But just to show that we've opened a new window, what I like to do is have that window open up just a little bit off the, for you, maybe this way, a little bit off the top corner there. just as an indicator that it's something else. So position, I'm going to say 20 and 20. And then let's not give them the ability to minimize it out of the way. And let's not have any toolbars available. So it's just something that you open up, you look at the job information, and then you click the little X to close it. And we'll encourage them to do that by deselecting some of these available options here. And then very important here, show only related records and match to current record only. We want that selected. We're going to click OK. Click OK here. And then remember, we don't like the way that looks. So let's get in here and set this cell padding to 0. And that's going to stay pretty well centered for us. And the reason why that's going to stay centered is because we have center alignment and then vertical alignment centered here. You can see what that would do to the button. So you can mess with that to try and get things to look the way you like it to. And then actually, one of the things we can do is we can go to style here and we can set like a primary style like that. Let's see, did that change? See, that did change the padding by changing the style. Style is something we'll get into at a different time, but you can go through and mess with it. And all you're doing with the style and the appearance pane here is you're just changing the way it looks. So that's totally up to you how you want that to look. But get in there and play with it. That's all I can say. But let's see if that works. So exit layout. Yes, we want to save that. And we've got job 1005 here. Edit, and it pulls up job 1005. So let's close this. Job 100 or 1000. Perfect. And you can see it's opening up just a little bit off that tab there. So great. Okay. So I think we're in good shape there. We can pretty easily go to the information about the appropriate job. So now let's create a search. Well, before we get back into actually creating a search, let me just show you a powerful FileMaker tool that just exists right out of the box. And that's this little search window up here. You might have questioned that. But if I just go up here, any layout that I'm on, by default, it's going to search all the visible fields. So if I search Jim, you can see it pulls up just Jim as a customer. That's a really useful tool. But one of the things that I always try and do when I'm building my FileMaker applications and layouts is I'm trying to kind of control the user experience. I want to control what they're searching for and just to make it easier for them to operate. These tools up here are very powerful and they operate across the entire, well, they're universal. They can do a lot of things that you may not necessarily want the user to do. So let's create an actual search field on the layout here. So I'm going to go to edit layout and I'm going to make room for this field and then we have to create the field. So one of the things I'm going to do, double click on this portal and I'm going to set this to 7 rows and I'm going to drag this down and that gives me a little bit of room up here where I feel like the search bar should be. Okay. And then we actually need a field for searching. Well, here's one of those things that you just have to understand in FileMaker. So Control-Shift-D. Let's create a field by going into the managed database and I'm on the customer table and I'm going to say G_search. Okay. And create. Now the G is, it doesn't really matter what you call this. I like to use the G_ naming convention because it reminds me that this is a global field that I'm going to create. So I'm going to go to options here and I'm going to go to storage and use global storage. That's one value for all records. Global storage is something that's reset every time you close FileMaker. It's just stored in the RAM of your computer. And it is the same, it's the same information for every single record in the database. So normally, if I made a global like customer name field and I typed in a customer name and then I went to the next customer, it's going to still be the same content or whatever I typed into that field because it's global field. So global fields are great for, at this level, what you'd be using them for the most would be to actually create like a user input type search field. And that is a very useful thing to use a global field for. So I'm going to click OK. And remember, we're not going to store anything important or anything that has to be stored over a period of time in that global field. This is a temporary field that is the same across all records. So click OK. We'll get into it a little bit and maybe it'll make a little more sense. And it popped up down here for us. So let's move this up here. And if that didn't work, if it didn't pop up for you because of a setting that you, your settings are different. By the way, that setting is under Edit, Preferences, Layout. Add newly defined fields to the current layout. I don't actually like that, so I'm going to turn that off. Layout, uncheck. Okay. So now we have this global search field. Now let's just go look and see what that does. No, it will do nothing. It will do nothing right now. Okay. But then look, if I go between the records, if I select different records, you see how that doesn't change at all? If I go in and add some more information, it doesn't change because the global field isn't actually connected to any record. And it's accessible everywhere. It doesn't need a relationship or anything else to be seen. So let's go back to Edit Layout, and then let's create a button right next to it. And I'm going to make an icon, and I'm going to look for the search icon. How about that guy there? That makes sense, doesn't it? And then let's go back and let's go to primary again. So I like that blue. And let's make this button do something. So what we want this button to do, button setup, button action, single step. We can do that here. Button setup, button action, single step. And we want this one step to be perform quick find right there. Okay. And perform quick find, what we're going to do, I'm going to click this little gear, and all it's asking is what are you going to search for? So when you perform quick find, what's in this bracket here is what you're going to search for. So what we want to search for is actually that whatever the user typed into the G search global field. Okay. I hope that makes sense, but I'll show you how this is going to work. So I'm going to click OK. Click OK. And let's change this to a hand button. And then I'll close that, and then I'll exit, save. And now if I search John and hit, there we go. It works. It finds John. So, oops. Nope, because I need another N in Hannah. Hitting enter, and enter doesn't do anything at the moment. And that's another video. We can get into those script triggers, but now we've got this search that's right on our page. And so let's remind the user that this is a search. So I'm going to go up to data here, and then under the placeholder text, I'm going to click search. Okay. Now this is searching every single field on this database. Okay. But let's say we don't want it to search everything. We don't really want it to get into the nitty gritty of the jobs and things like that. So how do we pick which fields this searches? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go up to View, Show, Quick Find. Okay. And that's going to give me these little green and yellow magnifying glasses there. And that's going to tell us where the quick find is going to search. So the green quick find, the reason why they're green is that they're searching this table. They're going to be really fast searches. And the yellow ones are searching through a relationship. Now they'll work, but as your database grows in size, and this is going to be hundreds or thousands of records, if you're not doing tons and tons of jobs, it's not going to matter. But in time, these yellow ones will run slower. And FileMaker is just warning you that these finds or these searches through a relationship may be a little more slowly operating. So let's actually turn these off so we're not searching this information. Before we do that, let's test this. So status, if we type new, because I know we have some new job status. Sorry, force a habit, keep hitting enter. It's finding the new in the new jobs. If I'm looking for 1005, I hit the find there, it is finding this customer because they have the job number 1005. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to find job information. I'm looking for a customer specifically when I'm searching up there. So I'm going to shift select all of these. And then right here under the data tab here, I'm going to click include field for quick find. I'm going to deselect that. And you can see that magnifying glass went away. So now if I exit that layout and save and I search for new, search, it doesn't find anybody. So if I show all, not finding anybody. So it's not searching these job fields. And this search is going to be a little bit faster that way. So it's a little cleaner search. Now I can actually just take this search right as it is, because it's operating under a quick find and it's a global field. It's not tied to any layout. And I've selected it and I've hit Control C for copy. And then I'm going to go to jobs here and let's do the same thing right here. So 7 rows, move this down. Control paste this up here. Just line this up so it looks a little nicer. And exit. Watch how simple that is. Now I'm searching jobs and I can find all jobs that, let's do a job number. Find. And there it is. There's job number 1005. So if I had more jobs, this would be more useful. But again, edit layout, you can see that this is searching through the relationship for the customer information, which you may or may not want. Let's deselect that though. So we're not actually searching for customer information while we're doing the job search. And even though this field is on the customer table, because it's a global field, we can use it anywhere and it works just fine. Now, one of the things you might find a little bit confusing is if I have, let's say I am searching for a job, okay, and then I go to the customers table, my search is still there. It's just pre-populated for me. Nothing really harmful in that other than it's just not a great user experience. Different videos will go into different scope, but there's a lot of things we can do. We can make a script so that after it finds, it clears that out, or after you leave, it clears that out, or we could make an entirely new global field for just the job search, which would be useful too. And you'd go through those same steps that we just did on the customer search. So I hope you found that useful. We have created some powerful search tools and connected the jobs and the customers table. I think the next step, we should start building in some automation and make some tools that help us really recognize the order of the jobs that we have to produce and understand if maybe those jobs are coming up on a due date, maybe with some color coding and things like that. So let's get into that next.